Hi everyone, it's Eric here. Welcome to my channel and welcome to this video. In my last video, I introduced myself and talked about my background and history when it comes to music. I ended that video by saying that in late 2021, I quit my job cold turkey to focus solely on music. It's been a little over 2 years since I did that, and I've learned a few things that I'd like to share with you now. Let me start by saying that at the beginning of this journey, I had no preparation, mental or otherwise, for what lay ahead. I went in blind, having no idea how I was going to make money, let alone a sustainable income. I had a bunch of savings that I could rely on for a while, and I guess I just sort of expected to stumble upon some success in music and come across a sustainable source of income before my savings ran dry. So what have I actually been up to over the last couple of years? Well, for better or worse, I've done a lot of writing, recording, mixing, and mastering. I've made a lot of music, and through this, I've learned lots and lots about music production and audio engineering, going from being a complete novice at it to feeling confident and competent enough to back myself when it comes to producing for other artists at a professional commercial level. I've also tried my hand at self-promoting my music, posting it on social media pages, making other YouTube content about it, and asking for word of mouth snowballing, all to various levels of success. I've played my songs at a few open mic nights here and there, and I've also spent a fair amount of time researching, learning, and reflecting on the music industry and my place in it. I do acknowledge that there are some things that I haven't done though, such as pitching to music blogs, sync companies, and venues to play headline live shows. But that's pretty much what my life as a musician has been all about over the last couple of years. Here are the top 10 lessons I've learned during the last couple of years as a full-time independent musician. All of these are valuable lessons that I will be taking forward with me as I continue this journey, and I hope you find them helpful too. Number one, it's a lot harder than I thought it would be, and here's why. You have to figure out everything by yourself, and it's gonna be a steep learning curve, a very steep learning curve, especially if you don't know where to start. Artists who have signed a record deal have a whole team and management around them that do everything for them, from marketing, PR, booking shows. But if you're independent, you don't have that team of people with the knowledge and the skills of what to do and how to do it. So you just have to figure it all out by yourself and do it all by yourself. So you necessarily have to become a jack of all trades and diversify your skill set. You can't just be a singer or a pianist or a producer. You have to do all those other things, which leads me to my next point. Number two, business matters. To give you the best chance of being heard and growing your audience, you need to branch out and make some business moves. Write emails to pitch your music to playlists, to blogs, to sync libraries, whatever, to labels if you want. If you're independent, nobody else is going to do this for you, so you have to do it yourself. You also have to be consistent in promoting your music, otherwise it's not going to be heard because nobody is going to promote it for you. You have to do the hard yards yourself. Number three, it really is all about how marketable you are, how valuable as a product you are. And I'm not talking about the music itself. I'm talking about the whole package. Your image, your music, your clothes, your style, your message, the kind of vibes you send out to people. The questions are people going to pay money to listen to your music, to watch you perform live? Number four, most people who make money within the industry are doing it through means other than music itself. For example, social media deals, teaching, selling courses online, etc., etc. If you need to pivot too, then you got to do what you got to do. Number 5, the only people's opinion about your music that matters are those who are completely unknown to you and are lay people when it comes to music. I'm talking about people who are strangers, who don't know anything about music to technically criticize it or technically praise it, okay? Although it might be tempting to seek validation, praise, and approval from your friends and family, beware of their feedback, as it is likely that they would rather skew their feedback towards positivity and encouragement to save their relationship with you rather than tell you the honest truth, even if you need to hear it. Number 6, the listener or your customer is the king or queen, and they should be served. They are the most important out of everybody in this whole game, and they are the ones that you need to be impressing, not your friends and family. Number 7. There are lots of individuals and businesses out there within the industry that will try to take advantage of artists and make money off of them. Record labels are one example, but there are many other examples on a much smaller, more insidious, and harder to detect scale. Beware of these people and try to discern the difference between a product or service that will genuinely help you for a price or somebody who's just trying to rip you off. Number 8, never close the door on gaining new knowledge and skills. You might think that you've reached a point where there's nothing left for you to learn, but I promise you there is always more to learn. Number 9, collaborate often and do it lots. I didn't collaborate for a long time early on because I thought, I was being overly protective and zealous of owning 100% of my rights. But now I realize that collaboration can not only help you think outside the box for your solo creative endeavors, but it also allows you to broaden your creative horizons and learn much more by bouncing off your collaborator. Number 10, it probably wasn't the best idea to quit my full-time job cold turkey and go from having a stable income and relatively smaller amounts of stress to no income and very high amounts of stress. This led to a lot of financial strain, which in turn also had a negative impact on my mental and physical health, as well as my relationships. I dug myself into a hole where I thought I couldn't let myself out until I found some success that was reflected in monetary gain. I literally withdrew myself into my work, mixing, for 14 hours a day sometimes, partly because I didn't want to face reality, and partly because that I thought that if I work really, really hard, then at least all of this is justified, even though I'm just hemorrhaging money. Maybe I could have or should have even started working more and more on my music in my free time. And then when I got to a point where I felt I had made good progress, maybe, I had a decent catalog out there or whatever, or I had established a decent fan base, then I can quit my full-time job and just, gradually pivot and transition to doing music full-time. But anyway, that's done now. The road hasn't been without potholes either, right? So here are my top 3 challenges that I've faced during my journey. The first one is obviously the loss of stable and substantial income, which has led in turn to sacrificing many things that disposable income can buy, such as, leisure activities, leisure products, things that I would spend money on if I had it. Number 2, high stress levels, partly from the financial strain, but also partly from just always striving for that ever unattainable perfection. And the third one being involuntary lifestyle changes, needing to sacrifice and give up basically anything enjoyable simply because I couldn't afford the time or money to engage in them. So I'm talking about any leisure activity or product that I once enjoyed being sacrificed because of time and money. On the other hand, though, it has reaped some rewards. So here are my top 3 rewards I've received during my journey. Number 1, I have really lived the dream. I've made music, I've shared it with people, and I've enjoyed every moment of it. This is what I always wanted to do, and this is what I felt I was always meant to do. Number 2, I've gained a lot of knowledge and honed my skills and my ear as a music producer. The progress I've made in terms of developing this aspect, I'm talking about music production, has even surprised me, and it's made me really confident and competent to, back myself, as I've said earlier, in producing for other people on a commercial level. Number 3, and probably the most important one, is it's affirmed my identity. I haven't ever felt more like myself than I have over the last couple of years. I'm finally doing what I think I was always meant to do. And because of that, I've never been happier. Seriously, I've never been happier. I know who I am now. I am who I am now. I'm proud of who I am now. I'm loving what I do. And that's all that really matters, really. So all in all, was it worth it? I think so. Absolutely. Absolutely. Do I regret it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Overall, one of the biggest perspective changes of mine over the last 2 years have probably been my goals. Although when I first began, I didn't know what to expect and I didn't really have any clear goals. I just kind of dove right into making music and spent most of my day doing it, learning, recording, writing, everything, you name it. I guess subliminally, I had always wanted to get the attention of a record label. The bigger the better, get signed. That way I could be relieved of all the financial stress and the burden of having to figure out a way to make money. Not to mention all the other responsibilities associated with that, such as promoting your own music, marketing, booking gigs, other administrative duties, and I can just focus solely on making music, which is all that I really wanted to do ever. But having spent time in this industry and learning and understanding how it works now, I do think it would probably be better and more sustainable if I stayed independent. That way I can have maximum creative control and I wouldn't feel pressure to have to pay off the advance. Even though it would be a harder road to walk, I think it leads to a better place than the shortcut would. In terms of whether my initial expectations were met, I don't think they were. As touched on earlier, I didn't really have any explicit expectations at all, but implicitly I did have the idea that things would just work themselves out after a set period of time, and I would just stumble across success and a sustainable cash flow, but unfortunately this didn't materialize. So how are things going now? Well, I'd say that over the last couple of years, I have been quite satisfied with my productivity. It is safe to say that I've been quite busy. I created a fairly decent catalog. I think in 2022 alone, I released about 30 unique songs. And although I do think that if I had taken my time with them, the quality would have been better, I am still very proud of my output. However, I have made the decision to slow it right down and focus on the quality of music rather than quantity. But at the same time, I have been slowly running out of money, which I've alluded to earlier in the video, because the income I've received from music over the last 2 years hasn't been as much as I would have hoped for, and definitely not enough to be sustainable. So unfortunately, the time has now come for me to put a little bit more focus back into finding a way to support myself financially. In the near future, I will be looking to branch out and look for alternative ways to supplement my income, which may include returning to my previous profession, at least on a part-time basis. Don't get me wrong, music will always be a part of my life, and I will continue to make and release music, play live shows, and do everything I can to continue to be immersed in this world. Speaking of which, now is as good a time as ever to talk about some musical projects that I have coming up. Last September, my friend Tash and I formed a duo called September's Echo. We're playing organic acoustic music, which, as some of you may know, is a complete departure from my usual compositions, but I'm really excited about it and really enjoying the challenge of making a different kind of music. Our debut single came out in late January, and we've got a couple more singles planned before our debut EP comes out, hopefully in March. I'm really looking forward to sharing our music with you all. It's something fresh, new, and very exciting. As for my own music, I've been working on a short album worth of songs that I had intended to have had released mid last year. But due to various reasons, it's still not finished, and now I've hit a little bit of a roadblock creatively with it. I don't feel like I'm the same person as I was when I conceived the songs, and I'm just not really sure at the moment which direction to take them in now. But I suppose giving them a break and working on other creative endeavors in the meantime should help refresh my vision of them. Speaking of different creative endeavors, I would like to branch out and do things other than writing and recording songs. For instance, I will be continuing this video series, but I also want to start producing for other artists, as well as composing music for film, TV, and video games. So anyway, that's really all I had to say for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Cheers.